Welcome back to another Daily Drop with TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm staff writer Chelsea Sippel, and this is publisher Andrew Jones. Today's topic is Carolina basketball, more specifically RJ Davis, who just found himself making history, now holding the most 3 points in Carolina basketball tonight, where he scored 23 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. AJ, I mean, this is just another statistic to his legacy at Carolina, which is what we're talking about today.
History. He did two things tonight. One, obviously more historical because he now sits atop Carolina's all-time list of made three-pointers, passing Marcus Paige, who is his coach. Marcus, a former player here, finished in 2016, hit one of the most miraculous three-point shots in NCAA tournament history, national championship game history, right before the shot that beat the Tar Heels against Villanova back in 2016. But RJ became Carolina's all-time leader in three-pointers tonight. He's also a top 10 in scoring in the ACC now, which is pretty amazing. And he's going to climb even higher. He's third all-time in Carolina in scoring. So what you saw from him tonight was he started out well. And by the way, we're recording this Sunday night from the Dean Dome after we finished our Three Things video. He hit his first three threes, I think, because the third one he hit falling down. He got fouled and crashed to the ground and pumped his fists. And it's like, wow, RJ looks like RJ now. And he really did. And the one he hit actually gave them the lead for good. It was 9-9. It was actually 9-7 Campbell. And we're all looking around saying, okay, are they going to do this crappy start thing again? It's been a regular thing for this team. Then it's 9-9. RJ hits a three. They go up 12-9, hits another three, go up 17-12, and they weren't threatened from that point on. And I think there are a couple of things to really focus on with this is that, A, he says he's a lot more comfortable now than he's been all year. It started in the Florida game. We saw it in Manhattan at Madison Square Garden, and we clearly saw it Sunday night against Campbell. The other thing is that he scored early, something he hadn't been doing at all this year. He'd been missing his early shots. And I think the other part of this is that, and we'll hit on this at the end of this Daily Drop, his legacy. We have to start talking about his legacy. We spent a lot of time talking about Armando's legacy long before Armando was gone. He came back and played a fifth year too, and we were talking about his legacy during his senior year, his fourth year, because that was when he broke Tyler Hansbrough's all-time rebound record. That was a very tangible thing. I think rebounding record is bigger than all-time three-pointers made. But the reality is RJ's going to end up second all-time in scoring.
Yeah.
And unless he goes nuts, and if he wears the pink shoes the rest of the way, maybe he will. And unless the Tar Heels play a lot of games in the ACC and NCAA tournaments, he's probably not going to pass Tyler Hansbrough in all-time scoring, but he's probably going to end up number 2. He's the all-time Carolina leader in free throw percentage. He's now the all-time leader in made three-pointers. He's played in a national title game. He had 12 rebounds in that national title game. In the beginning of that team's run in 2022, RJ had 12 assists in the opener against Marquette in the first round. The next game, he carried them to the win over Baylor. Defending national champion, 30 in that game. He's the only Carolina player to ever have up to 12 assists in an NCAA tournament game in one game, and the next game score 30 points. He had 12 rebounds in a national title game against Kansas that year. So we're at a point where we need to start thinking about his legacy because he's only got 9 home games left, 19 games in a regular season left. So at the minimum, he has 20 games left. I think this team will probably find a way to make the NCAA tournament. So he probably has 21 games left at the minimum. So how are we going to view him? How much does what this team does as far as wins and losses, how much does that affect his legacy? I think it's part of it. I think what's really weird is a sidebar to this, Chelsea, is that he's going to end up second. That'll make Armando third in all-time scoring, and you're going to have 2 of the top 3 all-time scorers in Carolina history that were on a team that didn't make the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. In fact, total sidebar, you had 2 of the top 3 scorers in Carolina history. You had the last year's Pac-12 Player of the Year, okay, and one of those top scorers was ACC Player of the Year, and then 2 other starters who last year as rookies played in the NBA. And then you had coming off the bench a guy who starts for NC State You have a guy who starts for Penn State who's really good, and you have a guy who's had a really big game as a key contributor at Texas Tech, which is a pretty good team. You have those 8 guys, and that club didn't make the NCAA tournament, which is wild. That'll be a totally different topic for a different day, but I did want to sidebar on that. So, but that's part of RJ's legacy, to be honest with you. How did that team not make the tournament? He was on that team. So I think it's a really, really interesting topic, and the story's not over yet. If he wins his second ACC Player of the Year, that's impressive. There aren't many guys that have done that here. If he's a 2-time first team All-America. What if he's National Player of the Year? There's a lot of basketball left to be played. I don't think that that's something that you can dismiss entirely yet, because what if he goes nuts the next 19 games and averages 25 points a game and carries them to wins and hits big shots? We don't know what's going to happen. He could end up being a guy who's 17 a game and he has a great career and puts up really good career numbers, aided by the 5th year, and that's that. I don't know. But it is to
You're right, AJ.
There's still time. Hold on, very quickly. It is to be determined, and I think it's worth discussing now.
Yeah, I think so too. And you're right. There's still time in it. It is like a balance between RJ himself versus this team and what this team does this year.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
One can't discredit the other, but
where do you think that line is? Where do you think that line is as far as, okay, if they have X number of losses, that could discount a great individual season from RJ. Is there a number? Is it 12? Is it 14? Is it 16? I mean, is it a losing record? Which is not entirely out of the realm.
Yeah.
I don't think it's technically. Where's that line?
I don't know. I don't know if I could put the line at a number of losses, but the way I would think of it, if I were judging this myself, is I think, say Carolina ends up not having a great season, but did RJ make the best of what he could have for himself as a player and this team if they still didn't have that great of a season, if that makes sense?
I don't think, and while we're talking about legacy because of statistics, I don't think statistics are going to be the greatest measure of that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you have guys when teams that struggle, they score a lot of points because they have to take a lot of shots. I mean, does RJ average 20 game the rest of the way shooting 47% from the field? And is he at 40% from 3? Or does he average, let's say, 20 points a game the rest of the year and he's shooting 41% from the field and 32% from 3? And the turnovers and assists are about the same. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, stats aren't everything there.
And I think that will be dependent on the team. I think the more the team struggles, the more tough shots he's going to take, the lower his shooting percentage is going to be. And when you look at the ACC as well, if this team goes 15-5 in league play, it might be enough to get in the NCAA tournament. It helps them that they got those Dayton and UCLA wins. That will help a lot, but there aren't a lot of opportunities to get quad 1 wins in ACC play. But if they do, if they split with Duke and they split with Pitt and they can, beat an FSU and Louisville on the road, and those end up quad 1 wins, they have 6 quad 1 wins at the end of the year. They're going to get in. They're going to get a pretty decent seed, and they'll end up winning enough games that people won't look at this as that much of a down year for Carolina. Not a great year, but not a bad year like missing the tournament was, or RJ's freshman year when they barely got in. They got bounced in the first round in Roy's last game, which also happens to be the only time Roy ever lost an opening NCAA tournament game. So he's been part of some really unimpressive stuff as a team, and he's been part of some really impressive stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see how people view him when this is all said and done. I think the team needs to win. I think a guard racking up numbers on a team that struggles is not going to raise as many eyebrows in a positive way as it will if a team wins a lot of games. And I do think this team, as flawed as it is, can still win a lot of games. And in order to do so, though, it's going to need RJ to be last year's RJ moving forward. And I do think we've seen some of that light going on a little bit the last few games. And if it continues, then you and I are going to do one of these in a couple of months, and we're going to talk about specifically, okay, what is this guy's legacy?
Yeah. Once we have that time to be determined, we'll come back and we'll lay out the legacy.
You and I will do a video and we'll talk about it, and then I'll ask you that question about the line in the sand with the number of losses.
That's true. I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be fun.
I hope it's a good legacy, but we'll see. There's
Well,
time.
yeah, I mean, look. Personally, I've enjoyed
It's great no
covering
matter
RJ.
what.
He's a really nice guy. He's a guy that knows he's really good, but he's not arrogant about it. He's very respectful to all media. I've been around him when people are asking questions for the first time, maybe he's never seen before. He treats them with respect. He doesn't. Some guys might not give that person a whole lot because they don't know him. RJ's not like that. RJ's the kind of guy that, if he's in your class in some civics class or sociology or whatever it is, he's a cool dude to have sitting next to you in class. And he's also happens to be a great basketball player. He's making a crap load of NIL money this year. So RJ's a guy that's easy to pull for. If he has a lot of success, I'll openly say, look, I'm glad he does. I'm not saying, hey, I really want RJ to have a great year and the team to win games. But if he does, I'll be happy for him. And he's someone I think would deserve those kind of accolades because the dude has worked his rear end off and he's been working hard this year because, as I noted in 3 things after the game Sunday night, the arc on his shot was there more today. A couple of weeks ago, he was shooting line drives, man.
Yeah.
And the arc is back and the step back. If RJ's taking good, uncontested step backs, when he creates room for himself, a little bit of separation, that means RJ's playing ball.
Yeah.
And we've seen a little bit of that. So if we see a lot of step backs in the next 2 months, I guarantee you, we come back here in 2 months, you probably won't even need to worry about the number of losses. This club will probably win a lot of games.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. We'll come back in 2 months. This is where his legacy's at now and what we're thinking about. But in 2 months, we'll reevaluate.
And let us know. Let us know. If you guys have a number, I want to hear a number, not just Chelsea. I want to hear a number. Is there a line in the sand? If this team loses 11 games and does not make the NCAA tournament, because 11 games means they're going to have to lose 6 more. And I think 14-6 in the ACC, if they don't rack up some Q1 wins, it's going to be tough to get in. It helped that UCLA win helps them huge, especially UCLA beating Gonzaga. They need the Bruins to go about 13-7, or the Big Ten, I think, plays 20 games, like 13-7 in the Big Ten, play well. They need Dayton to run away with the A-10, which is a solid league, and they'll have those 2 locks of Q1 games. But it'll be very interesting to see what people say. Let us know. Number of losses and tournament. Do they have to make the tournament? Do they have to make a run in the tournament? Let us know what your criteria is. Everyone's criteria could be different. This is all subjective at this time, and we want to know. So let us know on Twitter, let us know on our Facebook page, and let us know on both of our basketball threads on TarHeelIllustrated.com, which is just $8.33 a month for one subscription. And you could be on the premium one, which have much better opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what AJ said, make sure to tune in to TarHeelIllustrated.com. Let us know your thoughts on RJ's legacy and, where that line might be if there is one. But thank you for tuning in for another Daily Drop. I'm staff writer Chelsea Sipple, and this is publisher Andrew Jones.
Thanks.